us with some breaking developments coming in. So after CNN News 18 exposed the blatant VVIP-giri of former Karnataka minister's son who was using Sanctuary Road to drive to his farmhouse, his father, the former minister KG George, has now issued a response saying a reply has already been given to the authorities over the same, adding the land doesn't come under sanctuary and they have every right to use it. So the first response now coming in from former Karnataka minister KG George. Remember, his son had created controversy when he had used a Sanctuary Road to drive to his farmhouse. There was blatant VVIP attitude that was seen. We here at CNN News 18 had exposed it. Now a first response coming in from the former Karnataka minister, who has in fact now gone on to say the reply has already been given to the authorities over the same. He has also said that the land doesn't come under the sanctuary and they have every right to use it. My colleague Ritu is now joining us on the broadcast. Ritu, a lot of questions were being raised as far as this blatant VVIP pattern that we continue to see time and again. But first, talk to us about the response that's come in from the former Karnataka minister.
Yes, so you see KJ George there doing a damage control wherein he says that, there's a section as well that speaks about the rights where a person can enter the wild sanctuary when someone owns the land. So that's what the KJ George had to say, and thus he says they too have the right to, move in and for the movements of the vehicle as well. But the forest sanctuary, the wildlife sanctuary that we're talking about is been seen as in the very sensitive area, and for which the state government is looking forward to preserve that at a best level. But with all that, you see KJ George, who says that his son has already given a reply as well to the department. But of course, that's that the only clear line that he wants to put out is that they have the right. But what's the question over there is that despite that's what I had to ask him as well, that why is then there of a department serving notice not once but twice if there is a right that has been provided to someone for a movement of the vehicles or someone who has the farmhouse there for that matter. So for which all that you see, he is only having a word out saying that he has the right because that's the section which talks about the right of the vehicle movements, and thus accordingly only they had purchased that land after knowing all that in the legal aspect.
Ritu, this is the area that we're speaking about is actually a route where even local farmers are banned. So why should there be a differential treatment for VVIPs or their families? What does the Wildlife Sanctuary Act say?
Yes, so usually that what we're talking about being a land that which is seen sensitively, and when there's a state government too which looks after it at best to preserve them. But with all that, you see the VIP treatments takes up a different stand when the locals are the farmers not been allowed inside. They too have a problem no matter what kind of stand they take in. But it becomes very easy for the VIP person to enter into such a land over there. So that's what is taking place here too. But you see what the former minister has to say is that there's also a section that talks about the rights for someone to move to take their movements in such a land. But yes, the Wildlife Sanctuary Act also speaks very clearly out when there's a sensitive land, there are these movements which are being restricted. So if that was not the case, then why would the department go forward to serve notices to the minister's son, the former minister's son? So that's the whole question that has been raised now.
Ritu, just recap for our viewers, when did this incident actually take place and what are the notices that have been issued so far?
So you see, as what the former minister had to say, it's around 2008 or 10 is when that they have brought that land, and since then there has been this kind of movements that have been observed. And yes, previously the earlier too the department served a notice to Rana George, who happens to be the son of the former minister, and recently as well they have served the notice. But what the department alleges is that they have only received one reply from the Rana George, who says that he as per the section 27, he has the right, and thus he enjoys that right as well to for a moment inside that farmland, because he says it's a complete right of him and it's a very clear on the legal aspect too. So that's what he had replied during his first notice. But on the second notice, that what we are learning is there has been no reply to it from the to the department. But what KJ George claims over here is that his son had replied for both the letters, but yes, that's the land which was being brought in around 2008 and 10. But we see the wildlife sanctuary wildlife act, which takes up such stands from since 1972 in the sensitive areas, but for which you see the farmer minister and his son looking after for a damage control now.
Okay, Ritu, thanks a lot for getting us all those details.